OpenSauce, a technology and creator conference founded by a goated YouTuber, William Osman. When I heard about this conference a couple months ago, I knew that I needed to be there, but I couldn't justify spending the money on the ticket and the travel to get there. So instead, I asked for them to give me a press pass to cover this story for a journalism class that I'm taking online. And much to my surprise, they said yes. They gave me a press pass. So I had to figure out, what kind of story do I actually want to make here? I ended up recording enough footage to make 2 stories, and today I'm telling you about the first one, where I'm answering the question of what are the coolest / weirdest / most wild and bizarre exhibits that I can find while walking around the conference. I'm particularly interested in the areas of open source biology, chemistry, material science, and just interesting robotics and passion projects as well. I even ended up interviewing a representative from NASA. If this sounds like your thing, stick around here on this channel and stick around to the end of the video because I saved the best exhibit for last. Except it's not even really an exhibit. It's a humanoid robot fighting event where one of the robots was even piloted by Michael Reeves.
Oh man, I'm gonna twist his dick.
Before we jump in, I want to include that I had to cut down a lot of these interviews for the sake of time. And if you want to see the full unedited version of these interviews, I'm going to be posting them on my Patreon, which is going to be completely free, no payment required to join. Now, let's jump into it. So in the exhibitor halls of OpenSauce, there were over 500 booths of exhibitors showing off their projects. It was even a little bit overwhelming. As a kind of example of the types of things that were here, one of the first things I filmed was a booth that had taser knives and were running a sort of taser knife fighting tournament style fight club. Taser knives are cool, but they aren't really what I had gone to the event for. I went for the biology, the chemistry, the material science, the open source nature of these things, because those are the things that I'm interested in personally. The first booths that I want to show off today are about seeing the invisible. These are about microscopy and analytical chemistry, seeing things that we can't see with our own eyes using technology. Let's start with the San Francisco Microscopical Society.
So I build microscopes as a hobby. We've got a bunch of different samples. We've got several different kinds of microscopes. And the ones you're looking at right now are really convenient for kids because they've got the screen. They don't have to work as hard to look through the tiny little eyepiece. And then all of these different samples are things that have been collected in the Bay Area. We have spices, marshmallows, various seeds and flowers, candies, coral and rocks and sand. And then the kids can basically just take out whatever sample they're interested in and put it on there and learn how to get experience with the microscope.
Aspects of microscopy that are here, people are looking at microchips and other components and whether the circuits are functioning or not, and they'll use microscopes to test that. But we like to look at pretty much anything anyone else likes to look at, which means you can bring what you want to look at here. So we're not specialized in that. We don't only look at microchips. Like we have a tardigrade up on the screen right now. We do more social microscopy. So we encourage people to bring what they're curious about, what they want to explore and look at to the table. And so if you have something you'd like to bring by later on, please, literally anything, just no biohazards. We want to foster that community of curiosity and wonder that comes from looking beyond what we see with our eyes.
Throughout the weekend, I did see tons of people bringing cool things over to this booth to look at them under the microscope, and it was really cool to see that kind of community engagement there. Now, unfortunately, you can't bring random chemicals to a look at with the analytical chemistry booths, but these folks are still doing some really, really cool science. Let's look at this booth that was developing an open source NMR system.
I'm Dr. Suki.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Brinkman.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you guys got here? What is your project?
So we do NMR and we do it low cost and accessible. And most people don't really know what NMR is unless they've taken like a high level chemistry class. But what most people do know is MRI. So big magnet, stick a person in the magnet, and the magnet is going to interact with the various parts of a person differently depending on really the density of the different parts of the body. So what NMR does, it's the same idea. Big magnet interacting with something. But instead of it being locational, like an MRI, instead it's just different chemical to different chemical. So over here, this is the proprietary magnet. This right here is the magnet. There's a little magnet in there. Now, usually these things are like millions of dollars huge. This magnet right here is a couple $1,000s. And what you can do is if you've got a sample that you just put up next to the magnet, you can know what the chemical makeup of that thing is without having to open it up, without having to destroy it anyway.
How does this kind of conference, open source, community science type of thing, how does that interact with the work you guys are doing?
This project, we're trying to basically get exposure on. This project, though, this is an open source project. Again, it takes what is usually a like tens of thousands of dollars and can be made by someone for a couple $100 for most of the parts, except the magnet's a couple thousand. And so it's all open source. It's available online. And so people can make this, right? And it makes it very accessible. It's small, it's portable. Very cool.
Yeah.
I designed the boards. I created the NMR. I did my whole PhD in nuclear magnetic resonance. The product that I have, people could download it from my GitHub, have it made by JLCPCB or by PCBWay, and have something like this running for less than $300.
Would you guys want to walk me through what could I...
This is vegetable glycerin. It's a good standard for relaxometry for the type of magnet that we're working with. Let's actually show without so that we have a background for what is supposed to be happening. So right now, we're not really seeing wiggles here, and that's what we're trying to measure with NMR. So I'm going to put the sample in now. And when we hit it again, what we'll see is after the noise goes down, we'll see a frequency wiggling. So these little wobbles right here are the actual atoms going back into alignment with the magnetic field after we knocked them out of the way.
That is so cool.
And that's what we're trying to do. If anyone is interested to try and make some, all you need is an open source magnet. And if you build this guy with a couple $100 as well, you could start spinning atoms yourself.
This is so cool, guys.
Yeah.
Are there any other booths here that you guys think I should check out, or?
You have to see Gems of Science.
So
Gems of Science. Oh, that's the one down there with those like glowing rocks.
They're insane materials.
So cool.
I'm gonna go there right now. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your time, Dr. Suki and Dr. Brinkman. Cool. Thanks, guys. Now, I did go talk to that Gems of Science booth. It was really, really cool like they mentioned, so I'm saving it to the end because I just don't want to spoil it just yet. So I'm gonna wrap up this Seeing the Invisible section with 2 booths about X Ray crystallography.
I am Dr. Bacon. I am an X Ray crystallographer at the University of Pennsylvania. Basically, people doing research at the university will bring us crystals of whatever molecules they're making. We put them into the diffractometer. So this is a 3D printed model that is actually what it looks like. An X-ray source will hit the crystal. If it interacts with any of the atoms inside the crystal, it will diffract off and hit the detector. So this spins around in 3D space to get collection of everything that's happening inside of the crystal. We have some samples of crystals here. So currently this is benzoic acid, this is copper sulfate. They're pretty simple. And if you can grow a crystal of it, we can tell you what it is. The hardest part is getting a single crystal. A lot of the times crystals are stuck together. We have to get one single crystal in order for the data to be good.
You could say anything to like kids who are kind of interested in chemistry and science, and you could give any advice. What might you say to them?
Just keep seeking information. Learn as much as you can.
Thanks so much again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Really cool.
My name is Lena Zornitsa. I'm a crystallographer and PhD student at UCLA. I'm here to tell people about X Ray crystallography. The idea is it's a tool that chemists and biochemists and biologists use to get out a structure of a compound. So you have a crystal that is a pure sample of your compound. You shine X-rays at it. The X-rays will diffract off of the electron density in the crystal, and then you get out a diffraction pattern that looks like this. You do this at like every angle of the crystal, and then you get out thousands of these images. You put that into a program that does a bunch of math for you, and then what you end up getting out is the molecular structure out of that. So that's why we call it solving a crystal structure, because it's kind of like a puzzle. These are about the size of the crystals that we would want, and we only want one of them. So you only need a small amount of your compound. It just has to be really pure, and it's a non-destructive technique too. So you can throw the crystal on the instrument and then take it off, get your data, and just do your chemistry on it after that. This is like a large-scale version of crystal mounting.
Oh,
Like that.
That's so cool.
So I wanted to make it like as scientifically accurate as possible while also keeping it interactive too. That's why I really wanted to exhibit at OpenSauce, because there's so much physics, there's so much math, there's so much programming that goes into this tool that chemists and biologists use. And to like further the field, you really have to know a little bit about everything. And I feel like everyone here at OpenSauce knows a little bit about something. Like some people come up and are like, I know about X-rays, how are they used here? It's fun to have people more aware of the tool. And like, I really feel like there's a lot that we can do to push it forward. We just need more people interested.
The next kind of category of exhibits that I found really interesting were about engineering life and materials. The first one up is about engineering life. This group was building an open source platform for doing genetic engineering at a fraction of the cost of what it takes to do it in traditional science. This was really cool for me to see because I want to get into the genetic engineering side of things eventually here in my own lab, and maybe this is something that I could build and maybe even make a video about building. Let's see what they had to say.
So I'm Abby Jaquetta.
I'm Odin.
I'm a co-team lead for the University of Lethbridge iGEM team. So Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, so a little far away. Yeah, we're part of iGEM. It's a synthetic biology competition, and we have a bit of a hardware problem and solution this year, and so we thought we'd come to OpenSauce and show everybody about it. So all we're trying to do is automate genetic engineering to make it affordable, fast, and easy for anybody to do. This is based off of a machine that came out of Harvard, and it's a really awesome machine. It's called the Multiplex Automated Genome Engineering Device. And so you can throw in your cells, throw in your oligonucleotides, and then it automates your transformation process with electroporation. However, that machine's about $100,000, and
A little expensive.
yeah, we don't really have that money. So this machine does the exact same thing. I think better, cheaper, faster. This is $1,000. Anybody can build this. It runs using this GUI control interface, and then this is all of your components. So a big part of ours, it's called MOSMAGE, so that's Modular Open Source Multiplex Automated Genome Engineering. So we were big on open source because iGEM's open source, so all of this is for free for anybody to grab online, but it's also modular. So if you need like 17 peristaltic pumps, you can put in 17 peristaltic pumps. So this is our control box. This is the brains of the operation, and then you just put in whatever modules you want, and then it connects to the rest of the system. If you can use an electroporator to transform your cells, you can probably use this.
The idea with Mage is that you could do chassis optimization. So you have your cell, and it produces stuff, but it's not optimized to produce your stuff. And there's many genes in different pathways that you can change in order to optimize the production of, what are you trying to produce?
Cellulose.
Cellulose, right? So what we can do is we can look at the cellulose biosynthetic pathway, and then we can look at genes that take away from those precursor pools, and we can multiplex the knockdowns of those genes, and it could be entirely automated. To do that with CRISPR would take many months of time. To do that with this would take, days or weeks. So you just load in your oligo DNA into the syringe pump. The syringe pump will introduce your oligos and then your bacteria into an electroporator, and then the electroporation would happen there, and then the cells would get recovered. So the electroporation would kill off 95% of your cells, but the 5% that are remaining are going to have those mutations. I was really heavily inspired by like a lot of these guys. Like I watch a lot of, the Thought Emporium and Nile Red and the Backyard Scientists. Yeah. So they inspired me to be like, there's something really complicated and I probably can't do it, but I'm going to try anyway. So without them, like this would not exist, and it wouldn't have even been an idea.
Like Odin, I've been watching like William and Backyard Scientists, now Red, Michael Reeves for like years now. And when they first came out with OpenSauce, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go. And then I looked at the tickets and it's like, oh, I'm a kid in Canada. I don't have the money to, come down. And then this year I was like, guys, what if we just applied? Like, you never know, right? And then we got in. Coming here, I love. The vibes are amazing. The energy is amazing. The passion is really what makes this awesome. Because like iGEM's very academic. It's very studious. Like they're there to like do some heavy research, which is wonderful. But this is just people want to build stuff, and that's awesome. And then like you just get inspired. So I love that this is a thing, and I hope it continues, and I hope it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because like this is awesome.
Just 2 spots down from this iGEM booth, there was a guy showing off his low-cost open source materials testing rig. This is also really interesting to me because if I want to get into synthesizing and characterizing biomaterials here in my lab, I'm going to be needing to use some sort of platform like this to characterize the materials that I make. So this is definitely something I'm interested in potentially building one day.
So my name is Pete Genovese. This is the Prototype Productions booth. The main thing that we're showing off today is our open source universal test machine. Its whole purpose is to do material science testing. Fully open source, available for anyone to freely make on their own for a fraction of the cost of a professional industrial machine. This device can do a bunch of different tests, but functionally they all come down to let's break a piece of material and study how it breaks and how it behaves during that process. Right now, we're set up for something called a tensile test, where we have a specimen like this, and we pull on it until it breaks in half, and his job is to record the force and how much the material stretches during that process. From that data, we then get a nice little graph like this, and this helps us characterize how that material behaves during that process. So we can learn a bunch of real useful things about material from this graph. The simplest is just how much force does it take to break that material? And while that's really useful, it's not the whole story. Obviously, if I'm building a bridge and it breaks into two pieces, that's no good. But it's also no good if the first time you step on that bridge, it starts bending down. That would be a little concerning. So from an engineering standpoint, we consider materials to have failed even if they just stretch or bend too much. This type of machine can tell us the relationship between force and the stretch or bend or twist of a material. And that's really the most important thing that we're learning here. If I know how much force is being applied, I can tell you exactly how that piece is going to bend or stretch or twist or break. This machine right now, if you were to build it yourself, is about $800. The comparable machine from a name brand, who I won't name at the time, is going to be at least into the tens of thousands of dollars, so much more affordable for technical high schools, colleges, universities, and DIYers alike. I've done my best to try to make this machine as easy to manufacture as possible. You could build this entire machine with nothing more than a hand drill if you were motivated enough, so no fancy machining, no CNC required. If you do want to outsource the parts, they should be fairly affordable to have manufactured as well. There's no real financial motivation to this. It's all open source. Anyone who wants to can build it freely. One day I might do kits just to save people the hassle of sourcing the parts, but really it was just to share this type of knowledge with more people.
Now, speaking of materials, there was also a booth that was doing some really cool work with recycling plastics to produce new products. I had a short conversation with them. Let's see what they have to present.
So we are Peninsula Precious Plastics, and we're part of an international open source community that shares designs for upcycling plastic waste. Everything you see here is made entirely out of 100% plastic waste. We do not use any virgin materials. We like to work with materials like polypropylene and LDPE, which are not commercially recycled in the United States. So the whole idea is to take a common waste product and sequester it into something useful. We, Peninsula Precious Plastics, are kind of a makerspace. So we cooperate with students, artists, nonprofits, and small businesses. OpenSauce is a fantastic opportunity for us to meet people who might come and use our machines to work on their own projects, who might volunteer for us, who might gather plastic for us. We're always looking for people to make cool stuff out of plastic, because we have a ton of plastic, we have the machines, we need manpower, really, is what we need the most of. We work on a small scale, and our machines are designed to handle custom molds. Yeah, this is a little bit of a disaster. That's okay. It's a little bit like a mushroom. Yeah. But we will let that cool down, and we will actually take that back to our machine shop. We have a large industrial granulator. We'll shred it back up, and we will reuse the shreds. Cool. So we won't let it go to waste. But yeah.
Wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, so far, these have been some really cool projects, but they've all been mostly smaller groups or relatively independent creators. But it wasn't just small groups here at OpenSauce. In fact, there were some huge institutions here as well, like NASA. Ever heard of them? They're just a little bit established. Yeah, I got to interview freaking NASA. So cool, so cool. This one was more about the impact that they see the OpenSauce conference having in terms of the work that they're doing and general science advocacy as a whole.
How do you guys, obviously at NASA, that's a big institution. How do you guys see the responsibility of creators and connecting with the creator community in terms of how that's going to help NASA, for the kinds of things that you guys are trying to do?
It's a great question. I mean, creators are so important to this industry and to NASA storytelling as a whole, to science storytelling. Allowing creators to be able to share our stories and their own and how they connect with them is very critical to reach a broader audience and to really educate the public and the community on science, technology, and our missions. I mean, creators are so passionate about, science, We have a lot of creators that are interested in rockets and all of the technology behind that. And to be able to connect with the public and share their own messaging in that way is really helpful to just generate more interest in science and really protect the science community in that sense. I mean, conferences like OpenSauce foster a great deal of connection. We are connecting with the public, the public gets to connect with us and the creators, and it just fosters this really great environment that allows for conversations to flow, for people to learn something that they maybe haven't known of before. It just brings a lot of knowledge to the space and a lot of energy and excitement behind science and technology as a whole. Fostering a community like this enables younger generations to know that anything is possible, that they can do something like this. They can be passionate about science. They can be passionate about rockets, about NASA, about anything that they dream of. And it just fosters this wonderful environment for people to grow and for the community to grow. I mean, 5-10 years from now, just to continue to see that excitement gain and the passion stay there. I am working on social media for NASA, and so that's a very digital landscape, but to be in this environment in person and meet people, hear their stories, see their excitement, it just really makes me even more excited about all of our storytelling to come and our missions to come.
It wasn't just a big, massive group like NASA here as well. I also got to talk to some student representatives from the American Chemical Society of the University of Arizona. It was really cool to see their perspective as students getting to come to a big exhibit like this and how this is inspiring them moving forward.
American Chemical Society, so...
My name is Leah Russo. I'm Delia Riley. And we're here with the University of Arizona's chapter of the American Chemical Society. Usually what we do is go to local elementary schools, but we decided why not go to a broader audience. And we've been getting an awesome mix of reactions, especially from little kids I think are really excited about our booth. But even older people are like, I've never seen bubbles that have been set on fire before. So I think it's cool and pretty novel.
Just get to share our love of chemistry.
What do you guys see as the role of events like this in traditional, American Chemical Society that's existed for a long time?
Yeah.
How does that society see the importance of things like this in terms of science awareness, science literature, things like that?
It's all about keeping people curious and encouraging learning outside of traditional institutions, because really the people inside of like the ACS or in universities, they just want to discover more and learn new things about the world and about chemistry for us. So yeah, it's about making sure that other people want to continue that work, even if it's not through traditional pathways.
We're the student members of our chapter, and I'm the liaison with the adults who handle everything, and they're always really supportive of us attending events like this to get the word out. We've been trying to film our process along. We usually haven't. We've just posted on Instagram about events and where we'll be, but this event is actually kickstarting our content creation with our club, so I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's really awesome that creators who are curious give platform to a bunch of different kinds of science like this.
Yeah. One kid said we were his favorite booth, and I melted in front of him. It was so sweet. It was really sweet. Yeah.
Finally, in terms of this kind of institutional presence, there were representatives from Mark Rober's CrunchLabs as well. This was one of the most popular exhibits by far, especially with the kids. And I got to talk to them about what they enjoy most about this conference, as well as the educational curriculum that they've been developing for schools to make free and accessible worldwide, which is really cool.
Welcome to CrunchLabs, and what we do is we spark curiosity in kids of all ages with multiple different kinds of product lines. But here at the show, our goal is to get all the kids engaged, all the kids who love Mark Rober to come and try and win a Fat Gus and learn all about the different ways they can learn science and engineering at home.
How do you guys see the importance of these kinds of conferences and getting people engaged, and what is the importance of creators as well in all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the amazing thing about creators is that it feels so accessible. We try to do things with real objects people would have around their house so kids can see it and start to go, oh my gosh, I could do that too. I could make something, right? Yeah. And when you come to a place like this where it's all hands-on and it's right in front of you, you have an opportunity to really experience it and be like, oh my gosh, I could do this, right? And that's the magic that sparks that curiosity that builds whatever pathway they want to go on.
What's been your favorite part about being here, and what do you think is the most exciting thing of this whole event,
It's the kids. So we get kids who come over who are like, oh my gosh, I have this, I have that. Who are so excited to tell us about their experiences, to tell us about what they're doing at home, what they're building, what they're creating. And I think being in a situation they can look at all the different booths and see all these people in that same space they are and really feel a part of it, that's magical. The bigger picture of the mission of why we're here is all throughout everything we do. And I think for us, the most important thing that we know we're happening right now is called Class CrunchLabs. Mark just announced a few months ago, we're creating comprehensive science curriculum for 3rd through 8th grade to be free for the world, for everyone. And that's that like passionate element that we know has the lasting impact far beyond what we're doing in the, in the moment here.
Yeah, this is really cool. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Now, outside of the exhibits in biology, chemistry, materials, and institutional presence that I talked to, there were also just a ton of awesome, wacky, creative, super cool passion projects out there. I was probably only able to cover like 1% of what was there, but let me show you some of my favorite passion projects that I visited and talked to, starting with a life-size replica of TARS from Interstellar.
Yeah, so I'm Max.
I'm Mac.
I'm Abraham. I'm also Max.
So we decided we wanted to recreate TARS from Interstellar in like full scale, basically. At OpenSauce in previous years there have been kind of mini TARSes, and we saw those last year and we were like, what if it was really large? So we kind of started off, we were like, okay, we want to build a big TARS, we have to kind of first do a smaller one. So we built it and it didn't work, and we decided, okay, let's just make the bigger one. So we spent a lot of time on thinking about like our mechanical design. We got a lot of our parts machined fully out of aluminum. This thing is really heavy. And so we wanted to make sure it could hold all the weight in each of its joints. If you want, I can actually show you kind of more in the robot.
Please, that'd be great.
Yeah. So all of these panels are just Velcro. You can take them off. If you look right here, we have this beefy, basically drone motor. This thing is on a huge gearbox, and so it can lets it spin this full joint.
Wow, oh my gosh.
It's going to be a little harder to see, but there's a motor right under there, and that is connected to like a rack and pinion.
It is a rack and pinion, steel rack and pinion. And we have two Cube Mars motors, one big one for the rotational part attached to the cycloidal, and then we have a small one on a rack that drives up and down. And then they're on these two like eBay linear rails.
Yeah.
Those things are expensive, so.
We first thought about this last summer. We came to OpenSauce last summer and we saw the mini TARS, and we were kind of just inspired by like how people can kind of choose to design, and like how, like especially when you go around something like OpenSauce, you see all of these super cool projects, and it's not like companies or like a lot of funding. It's just like individuals who decide, I want to build something cool, and they build it. And so that really inspired us to just like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just build something and let's see what happens. And we got this far, and so I think it was super rewarding.
We also didn't want to pay for tickets, so we spent $8,000 building a robot so we get it for free. Yeah.
Just to the right of this panel, through a door, there was a guy who was presenting some insanely cool plasma materials and like Tesla coil stuff. This is stuff that I don't really know a lot about. It's more physics than biology or chemistry, but it was so cool.
Hello, I'm Jacob. We have a whole bunch of different plasma things. Our main attraction, I guess, is bottled lightning.
That's insane.
Just in case you're thirsty.
Oh my god. How does that work? What's going on?
This is just a little continuous Tesla coil, It's
Does that hurt when you touch it?
It will kind of, if you leave your finger there, it will heat up and kind of burn a little bit. Yeah.
Can I tap it?
Go ahead.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, look
That's so crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it's just.
So why does it do that with the glass? Is it just like?
Well, I put gas in it.
Oh, there's gas in there. Okay, it's like a neon sign or something like that. Or...
Yeah, it's plasma like that, but there's no neon in it. So this one's just argon. This one's argon and neon together.
To make the cool colors.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more wiggly, and it dyes it blue. A neon and iodine one here.
How did you get into doing this? Whoa, hang on. That is so cool. How did you get into doing this?
You know those regular plasma balls? They're just they're like this big, and they have
the
little
science museum.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to make those, and I found there's all these other cool things you can put in them too. I got some glass and a blowtorch and a vacuum pump, and started just trying to make very basic ones with air that look like this one. And it's cool in its own way. So this is just air. This is low pressure air, and air is made of multiple different gases, right? And when you put different amounts of powers into it, the different gases will light up. I did it just for fun, and then afterwards, everyone's like, oh, you should take your stuff to OpenSauce. Everyone would love it.
What do you think of this whole thing in general?
I think it's a great place to meet other nerds and other interesting things. I'm also just halfway here to see my friends, so.
Oh, it's salt that's doing the little sparkles. I see, I see.
You shake it, you kick some of the dust up, and then it floats through the plasma.
Yeah, I think that if you had done this in like the 1700s, they would like kill you for being a witch. Now, in the same room, there was an exhibit for this kind of modular, consumer-focused, really incredible looking air filter that the YouTuber JoelCreates has just recently launched on Kickstarter. I thought this was a great example of the kind of open access, person-centric project that OpenSauce is all about. And it really captures the spirit of innovation that was here at the conference.
My name's Erin. I am Joel's younger sister, so I'm here, as family to support him and to help explain the OddCube. It is a modular air purifier optimized for 3D printing that puts the right to repair back in your hands. So the goal is you buy it once from him, you get those files, then you're able to print, repair, replace, or if, any updates or upgrades came down the line, you could just swap that out for the corresponding panel. It runs with off-the-shelf components like PC fans, approximately a 10 by 10 inch furnace filter that is really simple to replace. So it has these O-rings in the corner that help hold the corners together and then also helps pull in the filters for a tighter seal. His Kickstarter did just launch this past week, so we're here to garner some more support for that, and that can go toward optimizing and improving things in the future as well. With that though, with the Kickstarter, gives you access to a creator space then where people can come together and talk about modifications, talk about ideas, just come together and have discourse surrounding the OddCube itself. So it's a passion project come to life. I think one of the goals with coming to OpenSauce is to really just gauge and garner feedback from the average consumer. We got some really big brains here, so I think it's coming together and collaborating on those ideas and feedback and seeing where things can go from there.
There was also a massive Ratatouille robot. This guy had made literally the linguini from Ratatouille, and you could control his arms by pushing and pulling on the strands of his hair in his head. That was just so creative, so cool.
It's Ratatouille. Okay. Yeah, so how does it work?
Yeah. So I basically needed full hair control in 3 dimensions. So underneath the hair, I'm only grabbing the strands of hair, but I've got these controllers I designed on the bottom where, since I needed X, Y, and Z movement, I have a joystick on the bottom that lets me pull X and Y, and then I have a linear potentiometer right here that lets me pull up and down. That's what gives me full range of motion, where I can pull up and down, moves the arms up and down, left and right moves the shoulder side to side, and then if I want to move the elbow, I just pull in and out.
Wow,
that's so gives me full range of motion.
That's really cool, man.
Thank you so much.
This is pretty sweet.
I had the idea a while ago. Honestly, the longest part was kind of brainstorming what I wanted to make for OpenSauce. And then once I had this idea, I was like, this is so stupid, but I think it's hilarious, so
you made this exclusively because you wanted to bring something to OpenSauce,
exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Loved all these engineering YouTubers since I was a kid. It's what got me into engineering in the first place. So I wanted to be here, and I thought the best way to do that would be to build something to bring. And so kind of brainstormed what would be fun to bring. Came up with this. Applied before I had it done, and when I got accepted, I was like, all right, it's time to build it. So
gotta finish it now. Little mouse.
Well, in this case,
you should be dressed up as a mouse.
Yeah.
Awesome, this is really cool.
Now, finally, we come back to that Gems of Science exhibit that we mentioned earlier in the video. Next to the Tesla Coil plasma stuff booth, this was one of the most visually striking exhibits in the whole conference. And the way that they connected these kind of scientific materials into making something really beautiful and creative was really cool. Check it out.
I'm Stephen with Gems of Science, and these are our Gems of Science.
Cool.
We get crystals that are grown for use in science, medicine, and industry. So things like PET scanners, CAT scanners, watches, lasers, all sorts of things use crystal. Whenever you're growing something, they don't all meet spec. We get ones that don't meet spec to repurpose as gems. In some cases, that's kind of obvious. Who'd have thought you could use ruby as a gem? Ruby's a very useful industrial crystal too. But
that looks so cool. Oh my gosh.
There are others that are a little more exotic. This is Luag lutetium aluminum garnet. It's a hyperfluorescent crystal designed for use in PET scanners and CAT scanners for detecting X-rays. just by sheer strength of its fluorescence. The beauty of it is completely incidental to its purpose. It wasn't used as a gem almost ever until we got our hands on some a few years back. But it does make a beautiful gemstone. That incredible fluorescence makes it absolutely gorgeous with a totally unique look. So this is a laser garnet, yttrium aluminum garnet doped with cerium and neodymium. And when they grow these crystals, the head and the tail of the crystal are not as pure as the middle. The middle is where they want to cut the laser rods out of. So after they grow them, the first thing they have to do is remove these heads. In theory, they could be recycled, purified down to their component elements and reused, but it is a pretty expensive process. So we're able to pay them some money for the scrap and just make the whole process more efficient.
That's really cool. How does the coming to this kind of conference influence the kinds of things that you guys work on at Gems of Science?
This is why we got into this. You know, we sell gems. You know, it is my full-time job, but what both of us love most about this is actually being able to come to and talk to interested people about it. So we make videos about it, so we get to talk to the internet, but doing it in person is so much more interesting. This is really what it's all for. It does mean we end up with beautiful samples like this, honestly very expensive, and we could cut it up into a bunch of gems, but it's just too beautiful. It does mean we have to keep things like this around for conferences.
Yeah.
But that's nice too, because I don't want to saw that up to use. We can always get uglier pieces for that. Certainly, I feel like this gives people another way to pursue science without having to be dependent on the grant treadmill. It's a wonderful way for science to get accomplished. Now, it does mean that the science has to be kind of entertaining. But of course, what's entertaining does depend some on the speaker. I think there are like some real research things that are going to be enabled by this, not just fun projects.
I really appreciate your time. And what were your names again?
I'm Steven.
Steven, Ken,
and Tim.
Tim. Nice to meet you guys.
Now, I know they looked good on camera, but these gemstones looked so much prettier in person. This shot in particular really took my breath away when I saw it on the camera. It was just, these things were so cool. So yeah, that was the majority of my experience on the exhibition floor of the conference, but it was maybe 1% of everything that was there. It was just so cool, and I'm really grateful that I got to go and document it all to show to you guys. Now, I haven't forgotten about this Michael Reeves robot fight footage that I promised at the beginning of the video. But before we get to that, I just want to remind you that if you want to see the full unedited version of these interviews that I had with these exhibits at the conference, I'm going to be posting those on my Patreon. It's going to be totally free to join, no payment required. I'm also going to be linking all of the information that I can about each individual exhibit and presenter down in the description below. And I'm going to be posting a second story about this conference covering the kind of responsibilities of science creators, science communicators in the modern scientific infrastructure. I got to interview some really cool people, and I'm really looking forward to putting that one together too. Now, let's see some robot fighting. This event was insane, and as you can see by this super long line, there were a ton of people there. When I finally got in, I was greeted by a packed auditorium full of people who'd self-selected into teams of red robot versus blue robot. The red team was a little bit more enthusiastic, as you can see by these chants. Throughout the fight, there weren't that many knockdowns, so when they did happen, it was a very exciting event. You can see the blue team here is really celebrating. Immediately after that, they got another knockdown in the same round, so they were going crazy at this point in the fight. The robots were piloted by different creators throughout the event, like Nile Red, you can see there. By the end of the event, the red team was behind, and the blue team had a pretty big lead, and it was down to the final battle between William Osmond and Kevin, the backyard scientist, in order for the red team to come back. And here is Kevin kind of giving his strategy. I'm just going to let the footage speak from here on out.
What is your strategy?
I'm going to kick this shit out of him more than he kicks the shit out of him. I'm going to kill this guy!
A majority of the crowd in the red team is up for killing. Red team is too early.
The red team had come back to take the lead, and the final fight was between a representative of the red team and Michael Reeves.
Michael Reeves is here. Welcome, Michael. Are you ready for this match?
Yes.
What is your strategy going into this?
Oh man, I'm gonna twist his dick.
Blue team get behind the dick twist approach.
3, 2, 1,
Michael pushing the pace, keeping red against. Red team wins. How does it feel to be the winning team?
It feels so good, doesn't it, team?
This event was insane. So much fun. What a blast. I'm so glad I got to go. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.